Commissioners, the meeting is live.
For the July 10th meeting, July County Commissioners, please stand and join the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, Monday afternoon, I finally had time to get some things moved over and officially set up over in the office over here, so. Because I'm officially set up with two offices now. I don't know how Rich does it with two offices, it's driving me crazy, but we'll figure it out somehow anyway. So, that's taken care of. Also Monday, and my monthly visit with the doctor, still on bail, everything's pretty much status quo. Might next time not want to necessarily schedule a doctor's visit right after the 4th of July weekend. Might have been the smartest thing to do. Insurance companies take me off the current market location I'm on that's working. To place me on the one that they took me off of that wasn't working. So, insurance companies still get started on that. Tuesday evening, although I'm not attending, the National Association of County's annual meeting and exposition, I did take some time to go through each of the packets for the national meetings of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Committee and the Veterans and Military Services Committee, both which I'm serving on, but won't be at the meeting. As I said, that conference starts tomorrow in Philadelphia and runs through the 14th. So National Steering Committee meeting is for the CEW committee is on Friday and Veterans and Military Services Committee meetings on Saturday. There's no virtual options. I'll have to catch up on that one later. Last night I attended the business after hours hosted by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce, the Midwest Dream Car Collection. They hosted that along with a group called Switch Wicked. They do like collaborative art space. I'd heard the name, but I didn't know exactly what they do. So they bring like different types of art together and provide space for them to accomplish that. Is it
one that's moving in for Jordan? Was there's like a sign in the window.
They didn't
switch with it.
okay, maybe they didn't say anything, but well, that'd be close.
Oh, words on the one, you know, excited.
That might be.
Anyway,
Well, it was a pretty good turnout anyway. Had some really good door prices. You may be aware they have a replica DeLorean set up from Back to the Future. They had the date set up on there on what, July 8th, 1988. For a split second, I thought about hopping in there and just going back to 1988. And then telling everybody, don't make it to 2025. I thought they might get mad at me, but then again, if I'd done that, there would only been like a split second for the difference. I have to watch some movies, so. Might have turned out, I don't know, I may rethink that one. Anyway, that's all I've got to say.
okay. Well, let's see, Tuesday afternoon, I attended a quarterly meeting of the LEPC. Held at the Manhattan Fire Department headquarters on Denison Avenue. Meeting included presentation from BSF 10 on oil and hazardous materials, hazmat, coordination and support services for emergency events in Raleigh County. They use a whole lot of acronyms, which I don't know all of them, but upcoming events will be a tabletop exercise on September 9th. From 9 to 11 at the Manhattan Regional Airport. You want to go, you can call. Emergency Operations Center Functions Force is going to be on September 23rd, 5 to 5. The new business, next meeting is going to be on October 7th, with year with their bylaws. Then that afternoon after the meeting, I had a piece session, and comments one program. Wednesday starts the Tumblr of Michigan's agenda documents and some budget issues. followed up with emails and phone calls. But it's been really hot, so I can share something from prior school. So, anyway, that's all.
Tuesday, I was reviewing this plan with that, there's some management fire thing, remodel project, and so then I talked to Russ, Stuckey, and John Edelman to clarify some work on the existing parking lot, send us the architect. The other piece and put a correction in the addendum. Definitely get there. Then, Tuesday evening was the fire advisory board meeting, several policy requirements for review, down the chiefs. Make sure everybody's going in the right direction. There was ongoing discussion about retirement benefits. And then financials and then health, and discuss fundraising activities they're doing and possible ways to use funds. Then I had a note from the University Park about something they thought was going to be on. That's not what they thought was actually different. They talked to the man that thought about what it notice.
Well, I do.
That's all I had.
Regular business commissioners. First item we have, need a motion to approve and sign a letter to residents of White Canyon.
Reference thoughts. Okay.
It was not just me.
Yeah, it's gonna go every something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be in that, it's gonna go not only to everybody in mail, but also find. Register needs, everybody that buys property, you're just getting to know.
I should. That brings up a good question there. I think at some point in time, we need to evaluate what future plans need to be dealt with there, because that's going to come up at some one time. It'd be in my opinion, that that's, I don't know, proper term means, but it shouldn't be allowed to pass. This day of time.
Construction. Full-time living there.
Full-time living, for sure, yes,
Oh,
but that's not the way it is currently. That's why we're in this. Just something to think, but with that said, I'll go ahead and make a motion. Board to approve and sign the letter as.
I was second that.
And moving second, or to approve and sign the letter to White Canyon property. April.
Aye.
Sure, please sign it. Commissioner, need a motion to approve the transfer of the surplus property from allocated EMS inventory to allocated fire district number 1.
Make a motion to, transfer the list of Broward County units of authority to CFP from one from two. Also.
And moving second to approve transfer of the listed surplus property from Gunn County in this. I think part is fund. April.
Need a motion to approve commissioners the indemnification of harmless agreement with Riley County Fair, Riley County Extension, New Powers, we business as Riley County Cross, LLC, and Paul Valley River Association.
Motion for sign the agreements, this would be Alvin.
Second.
And moving second to sign the agreements at the minute. All in favor.
All three signed, please.
Here. Yeah, keep us safe.
If I did, if I know. What, they're there.
Yeah, very last one.
Yes. I'll let them know.
$20 to stay in lobster fund. It's under 30.
Yeah. That's what that was. Just redline that for precision. Next question, need a motion to approve order assigning petition fence responsibility for the Hargrave Sullivan fence view.
Page 2, all the way down, it says the village of Parcel A and west half, or B, look at the west half.
And I may.
That's, well, what we could do is,
Which one is west and east?
Now they both can't have wood.
that is correct, it's sure. So. Pretty sure it's parcel-ation. Parcel I should eat, that's what.
Not have trouble.
Yeah, because it's right, it's right hand, right, so you have Hargrave coming up from the south, right hand, Hargrave, parcel B. The east of parcel A. So if you want to make a motion, just seem to sign with that edit.
We need to, I will get the photo side.
I think actually, probably, I should be able to correct one. Make this a little bit.
I could, I think, it's kind of workers, presented with the following detail.
And moving second to approve the small for Hargrave fence order fence.
All three, please sign.
Article up there, handle those, it's too perfect.
That's. I'm sorry,
Dave,
yeah. All parcel B. So parcel B is what this parcel is. Yeah, sorry, I just really. Back to the picture.
You get that picture 7, just get it replaced with page 7.
Yeah,
And now, whenever.
okay.
Right, you're back in the office.
Got it done. This one copy.
Pick up steel, there.
Three.
There's 3 copies.
Yeah, 3. Next, commission need a motion to reappoint Dan Martinez as the Joint Corrections Advisor to work juvenile appointment to end for the resolution.
I would make a motion to bring the point to the my students to the joint corrections advisory department to our appointment for the resolution of 071025.
It moved in second, to appoint Dana Martinez, joint correction advisory board, 2020. Approve resolution 071025. Favor.
Aye.
All three, please sign. Next commissioner, Raleigh County Employee Action Plans, Katie Mannington, Legal Secretary, County Attorney's Office, Separation of Service. Ashley Casey, Shop Care Provider, Health Department, Separation of Service, and I believe I have in here as well.
Travis fully helps.
Yeah, Travis Schwartz.
They hire the day of leaving, it's the same thing. At the top.
Okay, well, on this page, it's not, it's correct, it says, 2006 date. Oh, okay, so. It is correct on the page sheet.
Okay.
All three, please sign. Any items for the joint city county meeting, commissioners? I know one topic, well, I emailed you about the survey, Seco Park.
But that's not what's on here. It's
No, that may not be, but I know that's gonna be added, that, of course, that meeting just had Tuesday.
Well, a couple of things on that. I've already stated I won't be able to be there on the 17th anyway, so. I scheduled an appointment made to that day, fully knowing it was gonna be during that time, but I didn't figure we'd meet on anything, but. My question is if the general consensus is to have updates on that. But I'm not up for updates at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday when we have a governmental meeting and. That's pointless to me. I mean. If we have something of interest or challenge to discuss, I'm good with that. But just to talk about what's going on, we can. Do that over at lunch hour, or I can email certain city people, and they're usually pretty good about answering these questions. I don't need a 4 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon meeting to accomplish that.
But also, you'd be asking what happened. Subject on this, if we don't get to ask what we. if Nobody used to ask any questions, why have, same way, I have meetings if they're not allowed to ask any questions. Or suggest a topic, don't suggest a topic if they don't, rather than discuss anything. What are we doing?
I kind of have a problem with survey too. How they're written and how they're distributed and that kind of. That would be a question.
Well, that'd be worthy to have a meeting separately on that, to talk about that, but. I was under interpretation that these were gonna turn into just, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, and to me, I don't see it.
The two board members, I kind of hear for not to have the meeting at all.
Well, if we're not allowed to discuss anything.
Yeah, I just need
I
direct.
got that email, but you saying, I'm looking for, if they got anything to discuss, well, then. What's the point?
I won't be at this particular meeting anyway, so I have it, don't have it, I mean, that's fine with me, but I mean, I'm just talking for the future. Get conversations out there in terms of whatever it is on
So maybe
Sunday.
we need to have that discussion to be there, we can discuss.
So have this money.
There, we can do anything or not.
Yeah, if the board is, doesn't like the direction the city wants to go, which is, the manager giving updates, and probably you could have to express that.
And I'm also okay if we don't have that format where the manager comes in and gives us a monthly update. That's fine with me too, because quite honestly, we don't go in monthly and give them an update as well.
That's true.
I think we're all pretty well versed on what's going on and we can interact with each other if there's an issue. Kind of a waste of both of our times, if you want to be honest with you. So I'm okay with that too, so.
No additional topics, and we'll have the meeting. At least one.
Well, we need to make a comment that we're not, if we're not gonna discuss topic, then it doesn't need to be on the agenda. It's discussed.
Who likes extra meetings, raise your hand. Yeah, thank you. Let the record note, nobody raised their hand.
I did not raise my hand.
I think you're about me now, and I've been involved in.
So,
My hands are tight.
Sound good, commissioners. And any items for the intergovernmental election?
Updates. No, I didn't even look to see what was on there.
Nothing.
Nothing. We had some.
No, Vivian might have some.
We have that 20-minute USO update schedule with a couple people visiting from Fort Riley. But that's the only topic so far.
And on that agenda, it does say on there updates. That's the time to have that conversation.
Okay.
Since we had just about any and everybody at that particular meeting, that's where everybody gets updated, not just three entities, so.
Okay.
That's those things.
Yeah, we're having the 17th meeting, where there's two of you that are gonna be there, just the district board is not, to bring up any questions or concerns you have to move forward with additional pieces.
If they could just be relayed, then I'm okay with having those meetings as long as it's something constructive or we're talking about an actual issue or items that needs to be, discussed.
But what you want, so the other two are clear to relay the message, is that you want the original format, not the new proposed.
Correct.
format.
Yes.
Like, and making updates, like you said, and governmental, but it doesn't take the.
Agreed.
And just a good job.
yeah.
Gotta get a motion, commissioners, to approve payroll and accounts payable.
So moved.
Second.
We moved and seconded to approve payroll and accounts payable. All in favor?
All briefly signed.
Wait a minute, no, Ashley, I have a question.
No.
But yeah, I told her she doesn't have to come anymore, that we have not.
Yeah, we need one, just come down here and sit and go back.
But I have questions.
I'm sure you.
We submit our questions in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
I would make a motion and then we approve the minutes written from the July 7th meeting of the county commission.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the July 7th, Rutherford County Commission meeting, all in favor?
Other tentative agenda for the commissioners?
Okay.
I might make a suggestion on the next meeting, if the board would like, since that one, skipping a budget session, it might be a little bit longer. I could take my time off and get you guys hard copies of the reports, and then we move Jacob possibly up to my time if he needs time, or we could take him off too. To move the timelines up to, so people don't feel like they're rushed or we can leave it as is. Suggestion. Be on that 14.
Yeah, normally I have a report at 9, so. Just make sure you have there on that.
Oh, yeah, we got,
Yeah, Thursday, that's me, I've got, yeah, that's Sydney. I'll be able to.
So probably a good idea to do both of those. You even each time that day, Dick?
I mean, nothing's coming up as, now, but
We're trying to make time, for that discussion on the budget, and then
we could work in flat time, that's fine.
okay, do that, if the board's okay with that? One of the Jacobs, and we'll just get your copies of the reports.
budget work session in St. Tim.
Probably earlier versus January or something.
Yeah, cause then we can see, have Cindy see if John or Catherine can move up.
Yes, I can work with you.
Robert, yeah, that was my right.
Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? Next commissioner, you have Dick Henson at 9.
Well, this is we.
So great, thank you.
That's when I had this 3,000.
Yeah.
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 This is the longest minute. All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Jacob Hansen, Interim Riley County Counselor, here on our admin session. And I got just a couple topics for us to try to go over and get some direction on. The first I would like to mention is actually the Make My Move contract that we've been working on. So far, my understanding is that we have Randolph, Leonardville, and Ogden that have expressed interest in the contract, and we got a short timeline, of course, to be able to get that in position. And that's due to the grant application that we need to file, and I believe it was July 18th is the deadline. My understanding as well is that Make My Move is going to fill out the majority of the application, just a couple sections that we'll need to fill in, nothing that seems too daunting. But we want to make sure we get direction from the board if that's something we want to go ahead and get on board with or not.
I had a conversation last time, that's definitely more applications than there is money, obviously. But they thought that giving both the geographical and demographical makeup of the county, that any application that we send in probably would give a really good look and probably strong. Just the general makeup of just what we have, the youth of the community area, including the population. And the fact that there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of interest just in this area. So they're not gonna look at these applications and go like, all Southeast Kansas, all West Kansas. So the ability to probably pull from that's probably great. So wanted to throw that out. It's 80/20, so it's about 31 change. So it's that. They're gonna pull all the state funding first. All the dollars will come to us to put in our own. So if we get the grant, that grant comes to us and we'll work with them to administer it. they're gonna put all the state funding first for ours. So as they make those moves, we'll actually get a full return on our investment even before we spend it. That's what's interesting. Yes. He said that you probably won't be drawing off your actual local funds. Probably at the very, very earliest, probably mid-February, but it probably look more like probably late March. So it'd be sometime in the first quarter.
So it's based on. We have to be probably based on, you have people that relocate.
20 moves on average, it's 2.3. I don't know what to get for 0.3, that's just the basic average, but those are potential families. You're also moving kids into the local school district as well. Yeah, on average, it's 2 people that usually go. Could be in the neighborhood of 40 to 40.
So the, I would say housing.
Well, I'm being told that if they move over into the Boston area, yes. As they go to scout those booths, that's part of the relocation. They pay each one of them a total of $5,000 for the relocation, $2,500 upfront for the first year, and after the first year, they get the other.
Are we required? Is it required to do it, like,
Yes,
in there?
correct. Well, that's part of the reload. I mean, we're gonna relocate them to that place with that in mind, and then there. I mean, after that 2-year period, I guess,
Right.
you know, all bets are off. The goal would be once you got them, typically the establishment rate's much higher, once you've got them in place, they're established, set up. They're gonna stay there rather than just bounce on right here. So.
Here we go, the potential financial obligation for Riley County, I needed his budget time. So I have to have funds identified, and then also the staff is made to administer it. This does take some administration on county staff. In the past, we had a program a long time ago, let's make my move, but the grant project or houses, park. Or affordable housing. Special projects, planning and development. That was in charge of that project because they are planning and development. Of course, Ricky would be involved in the finance side. It's something that we all work on the budget planning committee together. So even any staff member out that any will work out together. Just things we need to think about, short timeline, and my key consideration is financial obligation for 2026. We do have that some money in economic development.
I think go 31 is just application. Now 30 months is the total.
The match.
Yeah, I figured you pull that from our 25, you can develop the budget, that's all we have. That's all we need.
Yeah.
The other smaller communities, we could discuss with incentivizing some things, I kind of had a brief discussion with each with Ogden, but I didn't want to pursue the conversation just in case we weren't related to the board. And I have talked to Garrett in the chamber about the chamber getting involved with that incentivization too. They seem to be okay with it.
It's like, time, even honestly, Commissioner, I mean, seriously, is the potential RHID in those small communities to incentivize the town, this program would be able to find.
Which also reminds me, there is a group in Randolph, and I don't know who they are, I'll find out some more specifics. Oh, okay, we're talking just about that, and I've had conversation with 2 of the groups over the all together.
That,
Okay, then now, yes, we can.
To answer your question, 2 questions, Rich, I would assume that come out of 2025 and GovEvo funds. That's just a one-time. That plan I'd set to the side, so spend it. Rick will track that. I have faith in Rick. But yeah, the rest of it, I think will probably be special projects. It'll come in kind of, well, it's not a day by day type of thing, so. And it probably won't start taking place until later on in the fall when Jeff settles from. And this is contingent on the fact that we're gonna get. So
We just have to be prepared.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah.
Right. And so what I'm asking for the board on this is just direction on, do we go ahead, get the application ready to go, and then we'll of course submit it to you guys for final approval? Or, yeah,
Do the contract and
the contract and the grant application.
the state needs to know that we're financially committed.
Right.
Which we could do both of those potentially Monday,
Yeah.
during business week.
Yeah.
For things like this, there's a lot of detail, you get a car, it's not just really a stamp.
Yeah. I mean, for the signing of the contract and the grant application, yes.
Well, even when you're going for the cities, that.
Well, that's fine. Okay.
No, we're just asking for consensus on if we're interested, if the board's interested.
It's like 92, 93%. Yeah. And it's actually stayed for the 2 years. I could probably get you some data. Curious long. I think after 2 years, it's they kind of move on. Well, no, I mean, their objective is to get people in there, and then it's basically up to the community and everybody else to keep.
And
Usually after about 2 years, if a person's established in a home and a job, they usually stay. I have had conversations last summer with Lincoln County, who signed the original contract. They signed it for 5. Out of that 5, they were on number 4. 3 of the 4 had stayed. The only reason why the 4th one did is they had family emergency or family health reasons that took them back to their original location. So they not stay. That's Lincoln County, and nothing against Lincoln County, but I think we can have a good track record.
Right. And again, for the board, it's just, we're just asking for direction on whether or not you want us to present this. You don't have to make the decision on whether or not you want to actually do this yet, but at least let's get your intention. And so that way we do this work, we at least have an idea of where the board stands. Go ahead and move forward. It appears Randolph, Leonardville, and Ogden.
They never got anything back. Ogden seems very interesting. Like I said, I haven't really engaged in conversation because I'm not sure collectively where we're at in anybody's focus. So, but I do know that we have until, I guess, the end of the business day, Friday, next.
Yeah,
Friday.
it would be next Friday.
Taking place, they said it's about a 24-hour turnaround for the application, but both the consent contract and that application have to be in place to go for the break. Working on a short time window if we've got you're not gonna be here on Monday.
Yeah, not in the morning anyways.
Something. Fridays and Mondays along the way, what does that mean?
Well, I consent. Correct. Probably work with work with that, what is it, the SBA.
Oh,
And, yeah. And it's kind of get established, so actually, if you think about it, that might actually be a pretty good thing, because both of them are gonna be working together at the same time, so.
All right. So we'll move forward and get a car either, ideally Monday. If not, we do have Thursday, but ideally we'll want Monday. So we'll work towards that. The second thing I wanted to bring up during administrative session here is that myself and Brittany and Rich, we received a question regarding RHID from the chamber, asking maybe some questions that have already been answered, or maybe they're just looking more for some more detail. I wanted to bring that to the board to decide how you guys would like us to respond, if at all.
But if they're getting the response back.
You have a policy.
Right.
Well, I'm just making clarification because the response back, I mean, response to each individual question. In response, we have an individual policy, which I think is fine too. Because we have a policy.
Yeah, rather than trying to, because we've gone over this.
Yeah,
Mentioned it early.
Mhm.
Don't-
Yeah. Understood.
Well, I guess my frustration looking at it from my side, going back the other way is, we've been discussing this issue internally since late September,
Mhm.
working on a policy since October. Quite honestly, that would have been time to have a conversation if so needed, but I think there was a preconceived notion that everybody was just gonna status quo with rubber stamp and move everything along, and then we realized along the way that one entity had a different, it's gonna go in a different direction and
Right.
change the conversation.
And,
Where we're at is where we're at.
and I would,
We've got to ask, you know,
mhm.
ask. If city council, we want that.
Yeah.
I plan on being done.
Yeah, I suppose,
You know, top on it, that's fine with me, but
is the,
I don't see the need that force of the state at this point.
Okay. that would be a good direction to know as well, if the board wants us to continue to participate in the RHID task force or not.
I'm both very for you. You know, we have a policy.
I can discuss the merits of that policy, or,
Mhm.
I still think along the way we could make a few tweaks and changes, but that's any policy, quite honestly, I mean, you have to modernize things, but.
Mhm.
you know,
we gave ourselves.
Right, I mean, I understand that people don't like what's written there or don't agree what's written
Mhm.
there, but that's not the same thing as trying to change it.
Right. And I would offer to the board too, that when we were developing the policy, there were some questions that were asked. If you remember, there was a pretty extensive letter brought up as well.
They said that the letter that they attached to that, and the.
The chamber. Yeah. Ah.
With them, that you received that for a meeting.
Yeah.
I never received it at all.
I can't say I did. I did
That's the
not.
first time I saw it, and I thought it was attached, sorry, I thought it was just attached to the discussion. Then I looked at the date on it, it was dated the day before the meeting, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't comment on that, well, we didn't get it.
Right. Understood. And so with that direction, I can respond that, I'll direct you to our policy. And that as far as the letter is concerned, the board didn't receive that letter. And we can leave it at that. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, very good. No other real administrative topics to discuss other than those two, unless the board has any questions for me that they would like me to go over. Very well.
Yeah. You know, that we have some of those, the questions were. Some of the topics they were wanting to. This points into our other grants,
So I think that was the question, but we're going to have to size fit, so.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that they're. Giving this to the Department of Treasury instead of the Department of Commerce, which is the Commerce program. Oh, there's other things to play out now. Hasn't been anything for a while.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that.
You did say yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
As the attorney, we're usually on the receiving end of that.
That's real. Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry.
Absolutely. One. Two. You're good.
Consider.
It's usually, they are. Wow.
I think the difference. There you go. Okay. Like we've got a bid opening for the University Park water and sanitary sewer utility extensions. So I'll start off here with the engineer's cost estimate showing $124,000. First bid I have is from Lakeside Construction out of Milford, Kansas. Okay. Starting date on September 14th. 5:25. Number of working days of 12. And total bid showing was $93,820. Check it. At first, it is Lakeside Construction. Start date of September 14th. And 12 working days for completion. Total price of $93,820.
Second that I have in class is from Parcel Construction. All good. Okay, starting date of October 1st. Showing over working days at 20. The price I'm showing here is $104,990.
Larson Construction, Manhattan. Starting date of October 1st. 20 working days for completion. Total with $104,990.
I would make a motion to, refer the, bids for the University of Clark Sewer utility expansion. That to staff for their recommendation.
Second.
And there's a second, then this back to the staff for review and recommendation of papers. You, Commissioner, make sure Brittany 9:30. You gotta do that.
You figure it out.
Well, we probably gonna have to have a air conditioning company document.
That's sort of weird, right? Basketball was there for a long time. It was very.
Not great, good. You'll be there by next week.
That's the end of that. Say, what's up? See now the patio with Bob?
Big balls, right?
It's not bad. That's set quarter here.
Give him the bad news, sound system
And I usually would have been set up a sound system and five taking us out of it.
Those patio areas here.
Not today.
Yeah, no, anytime too scary.
I've been sure you went to your fun out there.
Not today.
No, we're saying on nice day.
October. Right. Maybe.
I actually have, we have this set up, it's that, tell like folks now, so. You know, it's just, look those on, you know. Yeah. Which, based on the sound this morning, they're actually used for singers, so like that, you're apparently.
You don't have to worry about me saying it.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to the experts, like Brittany.
Yeah.
I'm so very, very fun. Fine. Yeah. Now quieter.
All of that. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer, here to report on our monthly cash flows. So first, we'll start with economic development. Of course, we're not bringing in any additional revenue, bringing our total expenditures to 107,114.77 and our unencumbered cash to $344,242. Next, we have county building cash flows. We brought in $43.50 and then spent $30,555, bringing our total expenditures to $105,111 and our unencumbered cash balance to $454,169. CIP, we brought in $8,304. This is fair money, so that's why you'll see the increase in fair reserves as well, because they deposited that money. And then we had expenditures of $127,629, bringing our unencumbered cash balance to $28,563,745. Next, we have the half-cent sales tax. we didn't have any expenditures in June, so our unencumbered cash balance is $6,180,320. And next we have point two. We brought in, oh, there's nothing listed for June there. I wonder if I uploaded the wrong one, so I apologize for that. I can send that out there. So we did bring in money for June, I promise. And then I updated the ARPA spreadsheets and shows all of our expenditures for all of our projects. Any questions on that? Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you for. I mean, it looked a little bit, yeah. There's a lot of people, right? The people on the outside, think about it. I haven't had any. Well, I'll send you. Great work, but. Yeah, maybe just like.
Oh, really?
Was overly sensitive earlier. I said it was overly sensitive earlier.
Not so. Sorry.
So if you can just, I wondered if you find this change.
No, I appreciate the, I printed out the little map a while back and, you know, got that, know where to park, know where not to park. Drive by here about every day, I know where it's at. Just don't know where to look for the official clock. Wait for the chairman to,
It's always the computer clock. That go by.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Unless you. This is a good thing. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman McKinley. Darren Solden, Economic Development, Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce, and joined as usual by Christian Bishop, who's going to talk about military related items. She's got quite a bit on the list this morning, so I'll be brief. Just want to update on some industrial development, both some current activity and some planning for the future. Mentioned in the past, and there's been some press around the Amazon out by the airport and that project. So I think that was approved, the sale of that land, and things are moving forward there. We're working on another project out there that will ultimately probably take 3 parcels in that Manhattan Business Park, which ends up leaving really only about 8 acres of the largest site you could put together out there is about 8 acres of publicly owned land. So obviously we've seen that coming for a while, and there's been some discussion about where do we go. We've had those conversations in the past with you all, but I think we're to a point where we really need to look regionally. So we're engaging a site selection consultant. We'll have some more information probably for you next month on who exactly that is and a timeline for the process. But we're going to look across the MSA, so across the regional area here at sites that potentially could be developed for industrial purposes. So project, right? If someone's going to come in and want to put in couple 100,000 square foot industrial property, you know, whatever that might be making, whether that was biomanufacturing or welding for machinery and equipment or whatever that might be, where that could best go. And so there's a number of options across the region. Part of the challenge is that those are in various different states of development. Some of them are raw land, some of them are project ready. Want to have an outside third party kind of come in and take a look at that, talk a little bit about maybe some prioritization, talk about what next steps would be, help us understand what costs might be associated with infrastructure and things that would need to happen to those sites to get them to development standpoint, so that we're down the road, we're in a position to be competitive for projects and competitive for local expansions. I mean, I think that's one of the things that, you know, keep in mind that local employers, as they look to expand, we do have multiple different scenarios where folks are landlocked or they, you know, aren't necessarily going to be able to do a ton of growth where they're currently at. And so having land for industrial development in the future is going to be important. So just wanted to share that. Again, we'll be engaging in a multi-month long process with a lot of diligence and review of engineering studies and looks at what needs to be there for development and what the costs associated with that will be. And we'll keep you in the loop on that, and obviously have a report that that we can all sit down and take a look at here later this year. So that process is underway, and I think that'll be valuable for economic development planning across the region going forward. So any questions on that before I hand it over to Christian? All right, appreciate it.
Good morning, commissioners. Just wanted to provide you guys with an update of some Fort Riley things. So last month we welcomed, it was a slow month for Victory Welcome. We welcomed a little bit over 330 soldiers and families to Victory Welcome, which is just the Wednesday venue for us to welcome, let them know about quality of life things. July has really picked up. So yesterday we had over 170 service members and their families come through Victory Welcome, and last week it was 150. So the first 2 weeks of July, we already doubled the numbers for June. So like I said, a lot of it's PCS season. So as service members are leaving, we are getting a lot of them in. So just remember, you know, be kind to your neighbors, welcome them, let them know. I did tell them it's cone season, so they shouldn't be scared of all the construction. But just going on with deployments and global engagements. So the last couple of months, I've been talking about how First Brigade is preparing to deploy. First Brigade has now started to deploy for their 9-month deployment to Europe, just to support our NATO allies. Meanwhile, we still do have echelons from the CAB and 97th Battalion and Sustainment that are at the southern border to support that mission. June, lots of celebrations. So we celebrated the Army's 250th birthday. And so we did have groups go down to DC to celebrate in the parade. Here on the home front, we did celebrate Flag Day. So thank you to Commissioner McKinley for speaking at Flag Day. It's always amazing at 9 o'clock in June how hot it can get very fast with that sun. Yes. So, and then June, we also celebrated 1ID's 108th birthday. And so they kicked off their birthday with a Gary Sinise concert. And then they had Victory Week, where we had our 11th annual military relations lunch in partnership with Junction City, where General Ham spoke. He was a former he was actually a former commanding general. So, you know, one of the things that he really talked about was how much his wife and family just really loved not only Fort Riley, but also the community. And he kind of talked about how, you know, you never miss it until it's gone. And so they moved to Missouri, so they're not that far away. So they still do visit a lot. But they ended Victory Week with Maddie and Tay, and they had a firework concert. And so they were just so pleased that they had over thousands of people come for both concert, not only just Fort Riley people, but people from off the installation come and just celebrate with them. As you guys have been seeing in the paper and in the news, there is a lot of Army modernization. And so as the Army kind of focuses more on a war fighting mission, there have been several changes that have been announced. One of them has been about the Fort Riley Museum. And while it is earmarked to close, there is not an official date. Could be years before it closes. So we still just want to continue for the community to go out. Yeah, 2-3 years closed, 2-3 years open. So, but please, everybody just go out and visit. They are open from 9 to 4:30. It is free. And so as kids are out doing their sunflower summer, please visit the museum. The other sad announcement that was announced this week is that the CG's Mounted Color Guard program will deactivate. They actually deactivate this month. Freedom Fest was one of their last things. So like I said, you know, as they just look for more of a war fighting mission and just to reduce some costs. So currently they are trying to find homes for the horses. So you can always contact the Color Guard if you have a home or if you want a horse. So, and then the last big transition was The civilian aid to the Secretary of the Army program was dissolved nationwide. And so while that does kind of remove a longstanding voice for us in the Army making decisions, we will still leverage Lieutenant General retired Perry Wiggins, who's the governor's military counsel, and then our congressional staffers. We have built a really great relationship with them as we go to AUSA. So we are now kind of in constant contact just to ensure that there is no gap in the conversation that we had, to ensure that Fort Riley and the National Guards aren't forgot about. I'll have a conversation as we prepare for AUSA. So on the good news things, in June, we hosted our Keep Tour, and it actually was our largest Keep Tour to date. It actually was across all of the state of Kansas. This was the largest one that they've had. So we had almost 35 soldiers' families, and then of course the transition team staff come to Manhattan, and they were able just to participate in housing, school, healthcare, job opportunities. They were able to tour not only Manhattan area tech, but they did go to Manco. And the one thing that we did different, it was at the end, we hosted a Keep Tour social. So we invited business leaders in the community that were looking for positions to actually come meet with these transition service members, and just have that kind of one-on-one network and social skills. And I'm very happy to say that 3 of them left that Keep Tour social with job interviews. So kudos to not only the business leaders that took time, but also to the Keep Tour service members who were able to see what a great place Manhattan is to live. Upcoming events, our 18th annual Military Family Night, Call Valley Rodeo, is in 2 weeks from today. So we are super excited to continue our community dinner, which will start at 5:30 to 7:30, or until food runs out. So it is free to all service members, family members, retirees, and veterans. And then the One ID band will sing the national anthem at 8 o'clock to kick it off. We will have tickets, and we will have 1,000 adult tickets, 500 children tickets. I know the website right now says that the tickets are available, but the tickets don't go live until next week. So I just wanted to reiterate, we do have the tickets, they're just not live yet. So again, it's just great that our sponsors are able to come through. And like I said, Chick-fil-A and Pepsi is always a great night. And then you can hit the carnival after. And then just last, some leadership transitions. So as I mentioned, it is, of course, PCS season. So we've already bid goodbye to Brigadier General Tillis, who their family is now in Germany and thriving. But we will be welcoming Colonel Jabari Miller, who will be filling in for the Deputy Commanding Officer. Division Artillery welcomed Colonel Patrick Kane. He's actually coming back. He was a 1-7 battalion commander. Sustainment is welcoming Colonel Boyles. And then the 1st Combat Aviation Brigade is welcoming Colonel Eric McDomian. So it is a mouthful. So just in closing, I just wanted to say, we just continue to stand ready to fluctuate with all the changes, and we will just ensure that, our office, in partnership, like I said, with Governor's Military Council, Junction City, and some of the other military affairs in the state, are ready to pivot and transition and to make sure that, Fort Riley is not forgotten. So pending any questions. Thank you.
I thought about it, considered. Now, here early, I can start, if you're interested, let me know, I can do that. I'm not, if everybody else is, I'm usually here early, to start. Yeah, dude. Usually I think about that, too.
Good morning, Commissioners. Diane Creek, the Health Department. I just passed out updated information to you about childcare licensing. A couple changes happened yesterday. So I updated it on this information. So, first of all, we're here to talk about childcare licensing and serving the surrounding counties. We serve Riley, obviously, Geary County, Clay County, Dickinson, Potawatomi County. And we get, from KDHE, we get $100,000 for Riley County. We get 26,000 for Geary County, 12,400 for Clay. We get 20,000 for Dickinson and 42,900 for Potawatomi. And then as a kind of an incentive to serve the multiple counties, we get an umbrella amount of 19,000. So it's a total of $220,300 that we get for childcare licensing. Heather is the supervisor and she compiled this information. It is for the last fiscal year, so it's from July 1st to June 30th. And this is the inspections and all the duties that they do by visit, so, and by county. So you can see that Riley County, like for instance, had 11 inspections. Geary County had 3, Clay had 1, Dickinson had 3, and Potawatomi had 3, for a total of 21. But that talks about all of the things that they do in this county and the surrounding counties. And then this is facilities, so this is how many school age programs, childcare centers, et cetera, are in each county. So Riley County has 100 facilities. Geary County has 30, Clay County has 25, Dickinson 34, and Potawatomi has 48, for a total of 237 facilities that they do all of those things above. Then the average caseload that's recommended by, it's a national organization that Heather's a member of, and they recommend 50 to 60 facilities per staff for a caseload size. And so that next line, FTE at 60 per caseload, Riley County would have 1.5 people going out and doing all of those duties. The rest of the counties would only have a half of an FTE based on the number of facilities they have. Then I figured out the percentage of the total. So of the total 237 facilities, Riley County has 42%. Geary has 13, Clay has 11, Dickinson has 14, and Potawatomi County has 20%. So I came up with, I believe, 3 options that we have right now, except for right now we're under contract until June 30th with KDHE. So, and we're under contract 2026. Yeah, so next June. So right now we are option 1. So we have 3 staff, 1 supervisor, 237 facilities. So Riley County's expenses, I broke it down, the expenses and then the total income and then the deficit. So total expenses for Riley is 186,695. Geary is 57,786. Clay is 48,896. And then Dickinson is 62,232. And Potawatomi is 88,902. So the expenses include salaries and all of the 3 C's. So the commodities, capital, all that. So those are total expenses. The income that we're getting right now is $103,000 is $800 is Riley County's share. 29,800 is Geary's, supposed to cover Geary County's expenses. Clay County is 16,200. Dickinson is 23,800 and Potawatomi is 46,700. Again, for a total of $220,300. But it leaves a deficit for every single county because the income is not covering expenses. So Riley's deficit is 82,895. Geary's is 27,986. Clay County is 32,696. Dickinson County is 38,432 and Potawatomi is $42,202 for a total of $224,211. And so then I totaled up just the cost of the other counties, not counting Riley County. And so the other 4 counties are costing a total of $141,316 to Riley County. Yes, 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 yes. So, the current caseload for our 3 staff is between 76 to 79 facilities each. Heather, the supervisor, she's carrying 4 facilities. She does a lot of paperwork. She does a lot of reporting. She also helps work some of the complaints. So we're already over the recommended, which, you know, they're maintaining, but they stay super busy. So option 2 is 2.5 FTEs, including the supervisor. So it would be 2 counties, and I chose Riley and Geary, which would be 130 facilities. So Riley County would be 77% of the workload, the expenses, not the income, because the income stays the same no matter what. Geary County would be 23%, but the total expenses for Riley would be $230,862. Geary County would be $68,959. Income, and this is, I'm assuming the income would stay the same. I don't know if KDHE would adjust those added income amounts, if we drop down to just carrying one other county. So I'm just kind of assuming at this point. But the income for Riley would be 103,800. Geary County would be 29,800. So the deficit for Riley would be $127,062. Geary would be 39,159 deficit, for a total cost to Riley County to carry Geary would be 39,159. But you still also have your county deficit, your Riley County deficit. Option 3, yes, yes. Yes, yes, that's the information right up here. It's in this box right here. So Riley County gets Riley County gets 100,000, yeah.
2 will come. You can still get any.
Not necessarily, I can't guarantee that, because I'll get to that. Hold on, hold that thought. So option number 3 is Riley County only. We would need 2 FTEs because we have 100 facilities. That's only Riley County, yeah. So this is if we just did away with the other 4 counties and we just did it ourselves. So total expenses, 250, 476, total income. So I didn't change this slide. I should have changed this. So that's not accurate because I wrote a letter to the state and they responded back pretty fast. And so they said that, okay, hold on. Now you need to go to the stuff I handed out. They told me that if we went on our own and didn't serve the other counties, we would only get $53,781. So that doesn't even pay for 1 FTE. So, and 1 FTE can't do 100 facilities. It just can't be done and done right. So now I'm not done talking to KDHE because they wanted to see the data that we used for the letter, because the letter said that we were short to continue serving the way we are right now. We were short about 141,000. So they wanted to see the data that I used for that. So the conversation will keep on going and see if we can work something out. But from the tone of the email, it wasn't promising at all. So my recommendation is to maintain the childcare licensing program as it is now, since we're under contract, with 3 staff, 1 supervisor, and the 4 additional counties until June 30th, 2026. So this is what we'll do to try to increase revenue, because, I mean, obviously, we know we need to increase the revenue. So I already wrote the letter to KDHE. That conversation will continue. Enroll the health department in Kansas debt set-off, to help recoup some of the over $200,000 in unpaid fees that providers owe from all 5 counties. So there's providers in all 5 counties that have not paid their fees. And so if we enroll in debt set-off, then that can help recoup. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna recoup everything, and it's not gonna get us out of our shortfall, but it will help. We can increase the fees charged by childcare licensing, so the state, and tell me if I'm wrong, the state is not charging them fees anymore, that's right. So we can increase some of the costs that we charge them for some of the things that we do for them.
Were they charging fees before?
They have been. They've been kind of off and on, haven't they, Heather?
Yeah, with the new.
The new statutes and laws that passed on July 1, they don't require them to pay
I
any
know they
fees.
made a lot of changes.
During COVID, they didn't, and then they had just, for the past like year, they've been having to pay them again, and then, yeah, according to July 1, then they don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So the providers are not having to pay the fees to the state, so we could increase ours. Again, it's not gonna get us out of the shortfall.
Let those.
You're right. Yeah,
Take into consideration.
yeah. And billing takes a lot of time too. That's,
It's the overall price of childcare and the more fees.
Yes. yes, but yeah, and it's hard to even think about not having childcare licensing, because they're the outside eyes that go in those childcare centers. And, you know, they see whether it's safe, whether there's things they need to change, stuff like that. So, you know, they're the regulators of the whole thing. We can increase pressure by the health department for providers to pay their fees, like increased letters and phone calls. That would probably mostly fall on Heather and our fiscal analyst to do that. Health department staff will meet with health department staff will meet with the county commissioners from the other counties and request funding for their shortfall, their part of it. That we have not done yet. It'll probably take at least 2 visits, I would guess, because the first time we're gonna have to kind of introduce ourselves, tell them what our goal is, you know, kind of educate them. And okay, we can do that. And we can do that like now. Yeah, we can do it now. Yeah. And we'll offer to go and visit if they just want to have a sit down and do a little bit of education about what childcare licensing does, because they may not even know. They may not even have any clue. So we can also explore ways of making services to the adjoining counties more efficient and cost effective. I think Heather's doing a really good job now. When they go to Dickinson County, they don't just do one facility, they do multiple. They fill their day up in Dickinson County, the same way with the other counties. So I'm not quite sure how we could do that, but you know, we could definitely look at it and talk to some other counties that do multiple facilities too, or multiple counties. Staff, either the health director, childcare licensing supervisor, or the fiscal analyst will provide the commissioners, monthly updates on progress being made in obtaining additional funding or, solving the shortfall problems. So we'll just meet with you guys monthly and just keep you updated. I've emailed Kevin Shaughnessy at KDHE because we don't have a current complete contract for childcare licensing. We've got next year's funding award, which has also some requirements. But I need a full contract. I need to read what we signed off on. So I've emailed him this morning and asked him for a full copy of the contract. So that's it in a nutshell. I also went ahead and you have it in your little packet. I worked up what it would look like with Riley County and Clay instead of Geary. The numbers change, but basically the funding shortfall is still there. I couldn't get away from that. I did Riley and Dickinson, Riley and Pott. And so it's just, the shortfall's just there. So.
I mean, just Riley County, I don't consider that necessarily a shortfall in Riley County.
Right.
I mean, the money we get from the state obviously offsets that. And that would be great.
A little bit, yeah.
Riley County is still in Riley County.
You're right.
Subsidizing the service that the state is.
Yeah.
Still Riley County dollars staying in Riley.
Yeah, and serving Riley County facilities. Yeah, you're right.
Concerned not that, but.
Yeah.
Subsidize
Other counties. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree.
fine, if we went to single county, that deficit would, sorry, I had $196,000. I'm fine with that because that's services that are being.
Riley County taxpayers, right,
80%.
correct,
I
correct.
wanted to clarify.
Yeah, good clarification. I also included in your packet a copy of childcare licensing's budget for 2026. We have cut that thing to the bare bones. So there's really, if we could cut the budget, which would in turn cut the expenses, we would do that, but there's really nothing left to cut. So I included that in there for your information.
Yeah, so get funding up 30.6.
It's really hard to say, and it's yeah, because the funding for them fluctuates so much too, and then so.
How much their funding costs federal?
I have
There-
no
there is.
idea.
Probably that.
Do you know?
Yeah, hi commissioners. So it is all federal funding. So, I mean, almost everything for the health department is federal that flows through the state. So, and then if I can provide one more piece. So this recommendation of going through June 30th, was based off of our conversation. So the staff, having monthly updates with you would be over the next 6 months. So then that way, when we come back in January, if you were to cut down, to one service, that gives us the opportunity to tell KDHE in June before we submit the aid to local, or before Diane submits. Yes, because that is due in March. So that's why they are talking about monthly updates, coming back to you guys explaining the increase in revenue if possible. Yeah.
And the income. Here shows just the state.
Yes.
Fees, and I was looking at your sheet.
We do. Yeah, and yeah, I know. And I don't, yeah, well, and those fees come from Heather's billing. So they vary a lot depending on whether people pay or not. You want to talk to that? Yeah.
So it's
hard every year to say what we're gonna get in the fees because we charge for like substantiated complaints. So I can average it. But I mean, one year we had a ton and then the next year we didn't. But the annual inspections, we know that's coming in, right? But initials and the KDHE compliance checks, that's when a facility is not in compliance at their annual, and then they would send us back out. Those we did a couple years ago, we raised those to where the more I was going out, the more we were charging for those. So we did raise those last year, 2 years ago. I think a lot of facilities have figured out there's no repercussion if they don't pay. So that's why I've been asking for the debt set off and things, because I told Diana, I would love to raise our rate. I mean, I have no problem with raising our fees, but I have to have a way to get it, right? So.
Raise the fees, don't just get to be not licensed, I'm sure there's plenty of different licensed. Raise the fees, because it's gonna be increased in the license.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Or it's clear it discourages those that may want to go into practice and maybe actually do it correctly.
Right.
Yes,
They just don't do it because of it.
yes.
Right.
Yes,
And they need certain.
yes.
Well, yeah, and we talked about raising those fees for sure in those other counties and maybe using that as a little leverage with those commissioners of, if you can't help us, we might have to put that burden back on your providers, which we would hate to do that, but this is where we're at. So,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I guess it's,
You know, it go quick, but if you work on it.
which counties are the?
it's Clay, Dickinson, Potawatomi, and Geary are the other
I
four.
pretty much know most commissioners outside. Like, and so I can get assistance there, but, they're probably not aware of it.
They probably aren't.
I think it's breaking the ice with,
Yeah,
a letter and some information, some education.
Yeah.
Good start.
because even if this year they could help a little bit, since they have no warning.
Yeah.
If they could help a little bit this year and then help fully next year, that would be awesome. You know, give them a chance to really be prepared for it and budget for it.
Forester pays the budget this year. And it probably getting set next year. You know, it's worth a try, but probably be on it for 27, so at the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
Say to turn on the heat, and I'll say it.
We will.
Not.
And tell them it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe this.
Yeah, it's coming. Exactly.
But
And-
yeah, you go next year, June 30th, we
Mhm.
will know what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. We can definitely do that. It's been on my list since I've been here, but you know, there's just been a lot. So, yeah, it didn't rise to the top.
and I think we'll have a lot of provider support too. And I talked about, I already asked some to write us letters of support with their county, because I think they consider us local and they would rather have someone local than the state coming in. So,
That's been kind of my, I understand if we had a 5-county region and there's no health department, and there's no private sector entity that has the professional experience or background to do this. That's not the case, and that's the part that troubles me.
Yeah,
I know some health departments in those counties struggle a little bit with others, but
yeah,
we have that responsibility. Other health departments around the state have that responsibility. Why should that responsibility lay on each one of them?
yes. Yes. And if they choose not to, then they'll have KDHE come in and do it, and it's not gonna be as good as what these guys do, because they do an awesome job. So, you know, Riley will continue getting awesome services and the rest of them won't, you know, so. Yeah,
Thing is, our only obligation, right? But the service the other counties get based on the responsibility of those commissioners. You're asking all of us to elect and speak that our Riley County citizens. You know, if the other counties next year doesn't pay 100%, Or the state didn't pick up, I said, that's me. I don't believe the states could pick up anything. But you see the little numbers gave the state did when she said we're gonna go, or all of a sudden it's less. Tell the state, guess what? We're pulling out. They might all of a sudden make that number go the opposite, and if they don't, that's fine. But we don't have to do those services for those other communities. So commissioners are always asking, where can we cut? If you want to cut, we got 2 other communities that provide service for, regardless of how good your service is. That's up to them to figure that.
Like I say, we're not doing it, and KDHE has to send people out.
Or they have to hold that health department in that county seat, or be responsible. That's about them, they're big, with their staff, there's a cost to that too.
Yeah, well, and if KDHE has to do it, then they have to have the staff to do it, or they have to contract with somebody out in this area to do it for them, because that's, that's a lot of drive time. That's a lot of windshield time if you're sitting there driving from Topeka.
That's my thing,
Yes.
But you have to get activities,
Yeah.
Didn't change that.
And I basically told them that in my letter, so their response back was, at first it was pretty insulting, but then after I waited a day and read it again, then it was like, well, okay. So at first I was gonna shut off communication with them completely, because it's like they were being aggressive, and so. But then after I read it the second day, it's like, no, I'll keep the conversation going. So, and they either, once they see our data, cause I'm not positive that, because their response was quick. So I'm not positive that they really understand what all these guys are doing.
This conversation has been going on for solid almost 2 years. They're aware of where we're at, so they're on top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but-
that's why you got a quick response. I just.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know I've personally talked to several of them that I think. I know what they're thinking.
okay. Well, I'll keep the conversation going and they can tell me just flat out no. And then once that's done, then that's done.
We can tell them flat out, no.
That's right, that bridge will be crossed, yes, exactly. Exactly, so that's what I've got. Do you have any more questions, concerns? If you think of anything later, let me know.
Or the.
It's said that recess with health and convenience, so commissioners all in favor.
All right. Good morning, Commission. Corey Meyer, IT GIS Director. I'm here to request to fill an open position that we recently had come about within my department. Through discussion with Elizabeth and with Brittany, the request to fill this open position will have a bit of a change or an increase, an adjustment to title and adjustment to responsibility. And in doing so, I'll also be withdrawing my request for a new position for the 2026 year. So this opening and then refilling it with a higher technical skill, someone within the office who can help us out in some higher level areas, gives us that ability to maintain the number of staff we have, but increase our service level and what we can do for the county and all the staff. As said here, one of the roles or reasons why I was requesting a new is the increase in security, the increase of complexity in what we need to do now to protect the county and its data and so forth. So essentially, using this opportunity to fill that what would have been requested new position. It was just a timing that kind of how things happened. But here I am today to ask for that. The physical impact that you see down here is that for the 2025, it will actually be a savings of $15,000 for this year, and then an estimated $30,669 for the 2026 year. The vacated position was making more than what this will be filled at, but we would be filling this position at a higher level, I believe, moving from a 13 to a 16. If you would, please come up, Elizabeth. That's where your
Yeah.
knowledge and expertise.
Good morning, Commissioners. So the current person that was in this role, the incumbent that was in this role, was at the top end of the pay scale for a grade 13 position. This new position would be graded at a 16. It'll be a higher level of responsibility and skill set, but we expect the person to come in with 1 to 3 years external experience. And so that's how we offset that. We're basically sitting at the exact halfway mark. So the numbers there make sense, 15,000 for the rest of this year, 30,000 for the next. There's a possibility, these are all estimates, but there's a possibility if Corey finds somebody who has 10 years experience, which would be the max of what we would ever pay a new person, this will break even. So we will not be asking for additional funds. And he would also have to come and ask you for that higher level of a start wage. So you'd be aware of that before we made a commitment. So with all of our staffing, this is our process to expect them to come in at a 1 to 3 year level experience. Yeah.
Getting higher quality person for less money, didn't.
Yeah.
It's less, as I say, that guy had 19 years.
Yes.
Yes. So, through the graciousness of the commission and supporting staff, an employee who has been here for that number of years has been, successful on the pay side of things. And so, yeah, that's how these type situations end up being. So.
That was a question. Name sounded similar that at a position you were.
We haven't settled on the name yet.
Truth be, that is correct. The position though had the word analyst in there. And when you look at where that word kind of lies in its descriptive, it's more of a review and look at and then suggest, I would say, what needs to be done. I need this title to show that you're a hands-on, you're rolling up your sleeves, you're getting in there. The direct supervisor of this position would be Chris within my office. And so they will be working hand in hand. So they need to have those network and security skills. We are working out the title, but we are asking for your approval to move forward filling it. But the title that we are presenting today might not be quite there. Titles of positions are very important to the applicant pool that you get. And so those are discussions that we're still having. It is amazing how much that when that title gets out there and all of these Autobots and everything that start sending you resumes, whether you get quality applicants or not. And in the past, even in filling position, we've had to make those adjustments. So that still has some wiggle room there in what we're doing. But as far as the financial parts and responsibility, the position, those would not change. And so I would be asking for your approval to move forward with that open position today. So
Can I just they don't have an organizational chart in IT, but basically, you've got Corey, who's at a professional pay grade. You've got Chris, who is at pay grade 21. And so he is responsible for administering all of the network and hardware and software systems. What we want this person to do is be the doer, the installer, the manager, hands-on, but also responsible, not just a task person. We have our technicians who are technicians and specialists who do help desk, and they do basic installation, basic troubleshooting. We need somebody at that higher level, not as high as Chris, making those decisions, proposing those decisions, but really is taking responsibility for that whole system in the middle so that Chris can actually spend time. Right now, Chris is spending on some items 3 to 5 hours on things that this middle person should be doing on individual tasks we need somebody to be able to proactively get in there and be responsible. In my world, engineer is a doer, but in the IT world, we found out that engineer is not that. So we've got to work on that.
yeah. So we have to work those out.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually that was just of yesterday when we were discovering as she said, the word engineer or administrator, how it's different in different fields that you work in and so forth, and those kind of things. And I guess for a pride, and when you're talking to somebody, what do you do? Well, this is my position. You want that to maybe fit more of the role of what you do within that field and that workforce area. So that's why, as I said, we're still working out those little details.
If you approve it, we will get that hammered out and we will bring you a gold sheet to sign during business meeting that'll have the final on it. But this would be the budgetary authority that it wouldn't go over this.
Yes.
Systems. Whatever.
We'll go within, yes, thank you.
I'll second. Moved and second to approve, filling the position of network security systems. It's further defined. All those in favor?
And to be clear, that eliminates the need for the new position request, so
Yes.
we take that off, so we have a spreadsheet.
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've met with them and made those adjustments and so forth. Yep. 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 Mhm.
Sure, it is up at 45.
No, you're good. No, I was.
So set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait.
Okay. Good, must do.
How was your, how was the?
I just want staff.
It was, it was a little. Sure. There was some days. This president. Watch out. They're not done one. They think all this living. It's a.
This is the one I said.
No, I wanted to get feedback.
So, oh.
No.
Just, yeah.
No, it's fixed.
I bet I did. Yeah, first, I would have rather. It was yeah, I know, I'm not missing this next one. It'll be, move puppies. There you go. So good. Good. You're all.
That's all.
Oh, yeah, well, when it first popped up, I thought the same thing. No. Here.
That's why I had to pull it, oh.
Yeah.
Wake up, man.
Did you? What's that? You think you said that? Yeah.
That's good. I like it, just.
Oh, okay. I'm about 95% sure. Okay. Well, you answered the original question. I was just-
Hey, Rich, do you know, has your office received any sort of, fines before some of that? Has your office received any summons or any complaints, petitions against the county? We're anticipating one.
Just got it yesterday.
Just got it yesterday, okay, good enough.
The day when we were expecting,
Probably. I haven't seen it, but
fire range, yeah, you run a list and get a copy. And yeah, make sure.
Okay, good deal.
Got it yesterday.
It's a dual effort.
For now. We're so close to. Yes.
Really can't you? Like, being in the end of. I said change, but it's not very shape, so.
Morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson with the Riley County Appraiser's Office. And I'm here to request approval of staff signing a professional services agreement with Schneider Geospatial/Beacon pending signing of an additional agreement by the vendor. We're working closely with Jacob on that. So attached is a proposed professional services agreement with Schneider Geospatial, also known as Beacon, for your review and approval, again, pending other approvals. Riley County has utilized Aumentum as our parcel search vendor since 2008. With our current contract set to expire in December of this year, the attached agreement outlines the scope of work, terms, and associated costs for the development, hosting, and maintenance of the new parcel search portal. One of the primary challenges with our current platform is the limited ability to present property information in a user-friendly and modern format. For example, during the most recent appeal period, we explored the possibility of making our comparable sales reports publicly available to taxpayers for the 30-day window that informal appeals is open. However, doing so would have incurred an additional $21,000 cost for a single report. So that was not financially feasible for that change. In response to feedback from taxpayers requesting greater transparency and easier access to property data, as well as our commitment to managing costs, we began evaluating some alternative solutions. In 2024, we did initiate discussions with Schneider Geospatial, again, also known as Beacon, and we participated in product demonstrations, question and answer sessions, and we conducted a thorough review of their services that they offer. The proposal has been shared with relevant department heads, given potential impact that a change could have across other operations. We identified all questions, considered everything, and addressed through those internal reviews. We would believe that the agreement will align well with our long-term objectives, and pending your approval, we'll move forward with implementation planning, including notifying the public and our paid subscribers to ensure a smooth and timely transition to this new platform. So some of the key benefits of transitioning to Schneider Geospatial Beacon include modern, intuitive user interface, enhanced tools for both public and internal users, improved integration, including an interactive map, cost savings, and just greater transparency and accessibility of the valuation related data. The system will not replace our GIS, but to complement it as a centralized location for all of the parcel related information. We would respectfully recommend approval of staff signing the professional service agreement with Schneider Geospatial, also known as Beacon. Once they have signed the agreement, Jacob has provided I'll let Jacob kind of elaborate a little more on that.
Yeah.
And Corey.
We have a. They want to strike our clause, in that clause it says, we are not waiving any stuff we have to use right there. And so we're not okay with them removing that, we're just gonna look, actually that out. Traditionally, limitations of liability have, more language in that, here's like a cap, total cap that we're gonna be liable. If we are grossly negligent. In this particular case, we're just saying we're preserving everything that we have under the Kansas Claims Act. I think with that clarification, they'll be okay with it. But we're just waiting to get that.
So I might add, as the current product is paid for out of my budget, but it is also a lot of IT work behind the scenes for this to be accomplished. The current vendor, as was stated, was started in 2008. The look, the feel, the function, the feature has not changed in that entire time. In fact, the vendor is currently behind on the servers and software that they use to host our application, and I have to downgrade our data and run 2 separate servers so that I can downgrade the data to get the data uploaded to them. And I've been doing that for 3 years now within our department. And so we have to do a lot of extra work to continue to use our current vendor and have what's out there. And so if you've been out to the parcel search or the tax search for the treasurer's office, is it both of those? That is the product that we're talking about that we would replace. So not only are we getting to modernize within, there's less work that my staff has to maintain to make sure that the data transfer internally to them continues to work correctly. The financial parts of this are that the implementation and costs in this first year that we would be paying are around $24,000. The current annual support paid to our current vendor is $21,000 a year. So for the new product purchase and the implementation, we're only at a $3,000 a year difference. And then the ongoing support is only $15,000. So we will be saving. So by making this decision now, moving and getting the implementation in, I will not be paying the renewal in December to our current vendor. That $21,000 will go to the purchase of this new product. I have the $3,000 difference within my budget and in some other areas that I've done. So we will come out ahead financially going forward with this, but the product itself will really, really give the users, the customers of Riley County and so forth, a modernized look that they're used to seeing when they go to websites and things now. Right now, it is a gray page, tiny, tiny writing, hard to read. We get a lot of calls on how do I do this? Where do I find this? It's just not user-friendly. It's not being enhanced. And it's time for us to make a change for the patrons of the county. So again, what we are asking is an approval to move forward. We got into some litigation conversations there. You know, Jacob is leading that charge for us. Once he gives approval that those pieces are worked out, then we would put this back on the business and ask for, then it just move as a swift approval through business meeting on a fall, once those details are worked out.
I can speak to conferences. This is one of the really nice benefits of staff attending conferences, to see some of the technological updates that are out there. There are other Kansas counties currently utilizing this service, so we were able to explore what they're doing, make suggestions on what we want from, you know, what we are currently getting and how to make it work even better for Riley County. The goal is to get it implemented so we have overlap in some time period here towards the end. Ultimately gold September 1, so that we can transition everyone to the new platform and make sure everything is working like it needs to in that 4-month time period before the end of the year, before our contract is up.
Some other counties of similar, you would, Lyon County is one, Miami County.
Yep, Cowley County.
Cowley County. So they have a customer base that sits right in that same area that we would be considered as Riley County in size and function of what they do. And so we've looked at theirs, they've been using it. Anna did her due diligence, talking with her staff. It's clean, it's crisp. We like the function and the look, and I really think that we'll get a lot of praise in making this change for those that are out there doing, you know, data searches and so forth and what's available.
Praise it.
No.
Right?
Okay, that won't happen.
Yeah, you got that. You got
might be
that.
the one
Thank you.
positive.
Working that in there. Yeah. Yeah.
There'll still be the paid side and there'll be the public side. And so that protected sales information won't be accessible on the public side, but it will still have some search functionality, which I think would really benefit our property owners.
Go ahead and recommend approval of staff signing the professional service agreement with Snyder Geospatial / Beacon.
Beacon.
I would ask that in the motion, you ask pending.
Pending the legal.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
If not, you're.
Okay. That'll work.
Moving and seconded, reference to approve staff signing professional services agreement with Schneider Geospatial Beacon. Pending legal verifications. Whatever.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
He's late, I'll look at 11:05. Didn't mean just, I'll have them all right here.
I have something I would.
I can see we right off. How's that? Yeah.
That doesn't say right.
That's exactly how you.
Now. Yeah. Hey, Jacob, the wording I put added on there is pending legal clarification by the counselor. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. That's me.
System.
But then they've seen their ability to do us. So. It's still working. And so I'm offsetting it. I'm going to second from the
See that. You're fine.
Now. Yeah.
Sure. So, some of it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. It is.
Right, or handle, or however you want to do it.
Whatever's easier.
Plenty of share.
People like it. Amy, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice and here.
Yeah, that looked like a lot. Yes, the sound issues with this, as far as the appearance, and it looks a lot nicer than what we got.
I did that. I thought that when I was over here last.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, because of this amazing leadership, we're trying to give more opportunities to. Would tell you such a horrible thing about on committee members.
Oh,
So.
Yeah. You probably answered.
That's true. Yeah.
no, the top candidates.
Oh. Sure is.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, and that's exactly, I didn't know. It's so very natural language. But I didn't apply it to your question, when you were showing how to study more, I mean, I can't do that.
Well, they, I think what that is, that's to give the dollars, so maybe I'll just staff each lab or anything else. I don't know. It does help.
That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll call that a lot. I love that. That's.
And yeah, I think also,
In the future.
I was last 10 years from now. There is a.
Always is right. Yeah, I always.
Hey, I'll just, these will rotate those currents.
I know, right? What's up with?
I'm just gonna hit you with this. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, 12, 23, 34, 45. 52.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have been all that. You need to start paying for one item or somebody on the buy like.
This is. So the statute says. And so then I'm seeing. Sure. Yeah, but are they signed to?
Oh, no.
Already putting.
Oh, God, it's regulations. I'm super. I'm not very days.
Yeah, that, times like dog years. Yeah.
At least they can see.
Yeah, there's progress.
Yeah, it just says, no, it's an asshole.
This ain't the Jeopardy song like that.
You put it there.
Yeah. But one of them was to be about everywhere. Drop it off.
Which.
You brought your speeches, right? Yeah, she's like.
We can talk. I'm speaking.
Yeah, right.
We all on there, Josh.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Vivian Leyva, Public Information Officer. I'm here today to present the nominees for the 2025 Leadership Academy positions. This is, we talked a little bit earlier this year about sending 2 people to the NACO High Performance Leadership Academy and 2 to the Flint Hills Regional Leadership Program. And we have 3 out of 4 of our wonderful nominees. Michelle Horstmeyer had a training in Topeka today and was not able to be here, but wanted to stop by and get formal approval or request formal approval to send the nominees through. We do, I think, a great job in Riley County in investing in our employees, in hiring from within and providing opportunities for people to learn and grow, and opportunities just like this to go through some leadership training and be even apparently I need to go through some leadership training. I do. But having them stand here today is an endorsement from their fellow employees, from you, and from their department heads. They fill out an application and a group of volunteers, volunteer department heads, which Amanda and Amy are here today. We look through the applications and select the nominees. We had everyone who applied was absolutely wonderful, and it was just kind of a, well, next year, let's do this again next year and put people through. And we for Melanie and Michelle's position, a particular focus on regionalism seemed to fit for the Flint Hills Regional Leadership Program. And then for Josh and Jake, they are, and I'm struggling, you know, once you start to go off track, it's hard to get the train back on. But we're very proud of the leadership they have demonstrated and excited to see what new potential some of these opportunities opens up for them. So do you have any questions? Would you like to? Okay.
Well, I do have one thing on the NACO leadership series. I'd like to get maybe some further documentation and how that program kind of goes for each one of you, so I can take that in February and actually share with ours during the legislative conference.
Okay.
And they started kind of doing kind of stories on that. And but I should be able to share at least one of our stories that for I guess 5 years now.
It's been since before I started. We've been participating.
We didn't formalize for about 3 years, but well, not too long.
So maybe a written testimonial about their
Yeah.
experience. Okay.
Maybe put a video or something together too that can be shared.
Yeah.
Oh, starring.
Yeah.
And just, so these guys will be about halfway through, but we've got most recent graduates too, maybe.
Yeah.
Because they just.
Settle it.
Or something. Okay.
So
I was gonna say, these are the girls, so this guy will- that just,
appreciate it. Yeah, great, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you'll get a lot out of both programs. Sure. Good motion.
Yeah, I mean, I make a motion to approve Joshua Perry, Melanie Neisman, Michelle Horstmeyer, Jay Conley for leadership training programs in 2025.
I'll second.
It moved and seconded to approve Joshua Aaron, Melanie Tyson, and Michelle Horstmeyer, and Jake underneath the leadership training program. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Very important. Appreciate it.
One day for I don't have anything else. College football 26 comes out today, so I've got strings on that. Okay, I will make a motion that we adjourn the July 10th meeting of the Round County Commission.
I'll second that.
It moved and seconded to adjourn the July 10th meeting.